our unity and love for one another. Always be stronger than hate the extreme.
Sorry? I'm human, talk to me as such.
London stands in defiance against this count.
Well, I know you had to think through taking this part. What was the turning point that made you?
I initially said no because I was kind of scared of spending so long with Rachel home. I ended up catching a second.
You do not commit these disgusting acts in my name.
Rachel Zegler didn't speak a word she didn't need to. Her expression said it all. For weeks she'd been at the heart of a cultural firestorm, battling headlines, critics, and even politicians. But this time, something had changed.
To go on this little baby rant about Rachel Zegler. They've gone through various scandals with this girl. Not because she can't keep her mouth shut. I'm totally fine with the celebrities telling me what their politics are, who they're voting for, etc., etc., but we've become accustomed to that. But because she has this underlying anger and hatred in her that always has to take it like one step too.
Paparazzi spotted her outside her London flat, shoulders slumped, eyes swollen, mascara running, hands trembling. 2 security guards closed in, shielding her from the relentless flashes as she slipped into a waiting car she didn't acknowledge. The cameras, no wave, no smiles, just the hollow look of someone who'd been shattered by terrible news. Within minutes, the footage was everywhere.
What would you say to those who are just kind of overly critiquing the film at this point? You've worked so hard on it. Alright, congrats Rachel. Good luck.
Social media erupted. Speculation ran wild. Some fans insisted she was just exhausted, but others weren't so sure, especially after a cryptic post began circulating just hours earlier. Supposedly from someone inside the UK's Department for Culture. The message read, "Big decision coming on the Evita production. Public image matters. No names, no details." For anyone following the unfolding drama, it didn't take long to connect the dots.
One of the most disgraced actresses of our entire lifetime is having yet another insane, hilarious meltdown over the complete and total backlash that has basically ended her entire career in Hollywood before it even started. And she is back once again to absolutely go scorched earth to attack everyone that was not happy about the insane things that she's been saying over the past couple of years. She is not happy, and it's very obvious with everything that is going on.
Zegler's breakdown wasn't just emotionally, it felt symbolic. A rising Hollywood star brought in to headline a major London production, now unraveling in full view of the public, just as whispers of government interference began to surface. The timing was too precise to dismiss. Was this a mental health crisis fueled by relentless public pressure? Or was it something deeper, something still hidden from view? Either way, one thing was certain. Rachel Zegler was no longer just defending her reputation. She might be fighting for her role, or worse, for her entire future in the UK.
Rachel Zegler's in the news because she's fast becoming the new Brie Larson. She is taking over as the most unlikable woman in Hollywood ever to promote a movie.
Truly a cultural milestone that Rachel Zegler has reached. Most annoying female lead in all of history.
She is the most unlikable woman I've ever seen in my life. Holy crap.
But how did it come to this? Why would the British government allegedly involve itself in the career of a US musical actress? The answer lies in a single viral moment, one that transformed a promising theatrical dream into an international scandal.
In the 1970s, Tim Rice became fascinated by her and worked out the concept for a musical, which would become the smash hit Evita with music by Andrew Lloyd Webber. One commentator wrote this: Eva Perón symbolizes certain naive but effective beliefs, a hope for a better world, a life sacrificed on the altar of the disinherited, the humiliated, and the poor of the earth.
It was supposed to be a simple photo op, a quick wave to fans, a cheerful smile from the balcony of one of London's most iconic theatres. Instead, Rachel Zegler stood alone, arms crossed, chin lifted, gazing down at the street below as if she owned the city. Camera snapped, the internet ignited. And just like that, a new villain was born. What was meant to be a simple promotional moment for Evita turned into an overnight meme. Critics dubbed it Gen Z Hollywood's Marie Antoinette moment. Some joked she looked like a dictator surveying her kingdom, but not everyone was laughing. UK women's groups slammed the moment as tone-deaf, accusing Zegler of acting like she was above the very culture she'd come to perform in. The backlash was swift and ruthless.
A lot of what you see with Zegler is really just a pretty common Gen Z mentality and approach to work. She believes that she should be able to express herself and speak her truth or whatever nonsense, regardless of the consequences to everybody else. In reality, you have a job. You're getting paid to do this job. You signed on the dotted line. You took on the role. And that job comes with certain basic responsibilities. And one of the most basic is the responsibility to control yourself and comport yourself a certain way publicly so that you don't harm the project, thereby harm all the hundreds of other people who are working on it.
It didn't help that Zegler already had a reputation online for her sharp tongue and unapologetic opinions. Her past comments dismissing Snow White as outdated and weird quickly resurfaced. British tabloids pounced, headlines mocked her attitude, questioned her casting, and reignited a long simmering debate. Do American celebrities respect the roles they're given or the countries they perform in?
Rachel Zegler is reportedly struggling to get hired. Rachel Zegler was supposed to be in Paddington 3, however she was dropped from that movie a few weeks ago, and they said that they dropped her because of the actors' strike. However, there are numerous actors in Paddington 3 that are a part of SAG, yet they're still able to film in the movie. But people are speculating that it might be because of another reason, and most likely is because of the Snow White backlash, and studios not wanting to hire her given the fact that it might result in their movie not making a whole lot of money at the box office. She also voiced the lead character of an upcoming cartoon that was meant to be part of Apple TV. However, Apple dropped the cartoon film. However, it was picked up by Netflix, but people are wondering why Apple dropped it in the first place, and people once again are saying it's because of this Snow White backlash and them not wanting the movie to suffer because of her backlash.
What started as gossip quickly veered into geopolitics. Within 48 hours, an alleged leak surfaced, this time from someone close to the Mayor of London. It wasn't an official statement, but it was cutting. London doesn't negotiate with narcissists. Just like that, the mood shifted from quiet embarrassment to outright hostility. But anyone who thought the mayor's office was where it would end was mistaken. The controversy didn't stop at City Hall. It reached somewhere even more powerful, Whitehall.
Some of the main triggers for a narcissist are perceived rejection. So if you reject them or say no to them, watch out. Not getting what they want, not getting enough attention, you're not feeding me enough, or anything that messes with their image. So what happens if they don't get what they want or they get triggered? Usually they go to anger and then they get cruel, they lash out, they say extremely hurtful things, and they can be very destructive.
At first, it looked like a typical tabloid feud, a celebrity at odds with a politician. Headlines were made, and then everyone moved on. But this time, things were different. Behind the scenes, whispers started circulating that the UK government the Department for Culture, Media and Sport was closely monitoring the situation, and they were far from pleased.
If you could interview Rachel Zegler, what kind of questions would you be asking her?
I'd start with a lot of softballs. I'd get her to kind of get a bond or a trust with us.
Yeah,
always have to do that. Get a little bit of live her career, the gig. And that's how you know when you give interviews like this, when you share those thoughts, that it's rather divisive and it seems like you're insulting the work you're trying to honor. Why do you say that, or would you say it differently? I mean, I just go directly at that point. I mean, you have to. You know, you're out promoting your movie. You're talking to all these people. You don't have to. It's your job. Your job is to get eyeballs to the movie. Why would you insult the source material that way? This material has been beloved for years and decades. Is that a conflict there? I mean, what's if it ain't broke, so to speak? I think that's straight.
What should have been a routine photo op turned into a viral controversy that spiraled far beyond the theater world. Rachel Zegler, cast as the lead in Evita, a high-profile taxpayer-supported cultural event in London, suddenly found herself at the center of an international scandal. The backlash began with a single image: Zegler standing on a London balcony, arms crossed, chin raised, staring down at the crowd below. The moment instantly became a meme, drawing sharp criticism. UK women's groups accused her of being tone-deaf and disrespectful to the culture she was there to celebrate, while tabloids dredged up her past outspoken remarks and questioned her suitability for the role. As public outrage mounted, whispers emerged that the UK government's Department for Culture, Media and Sport DCMS was quietly monitoring the fallout and growing concerned. Evita wasn't just any production, it was a major cultural project with national pride and taxpayer funding at stake. Officials feared that if the lead actress was seen as a political liability, it could jeopardize not only the show but also their own credibility. Leaked emails hinted that government support could be reconsidered if public sentiment didn't improve. Meanwhile, reports surfaced of turmoil behind the scenes, tense rehearsals, clashes between Zegler and the director, missed calls, and rumors of diva behavior. The production's morale plummeted as whispers spread of contingency plans, including secret auditions to find a replacement lead, an unthinkable scenario. Just weeks before opening night, when footage of a visibly shaken Zegler outside her London flat appeared, flanked by security and refusing to speak to the press, the public sensed something was seriously wrong, yet she remained silent. No statements, no social media posts, which only fueled speculation and division. Some saw her as a victim of relentless pressure, others as a calculated manipulator. The court of public opinion turned harsh quickly. Petitions demanding her replacement gained thousands of signatures, while UK talk shows debated whether American stars should headline British productions at all. Sponsors quietly pulled back, and Rachel's team scrambled to manage the crisis. Attempts to issue a public apology or explanation reportedly stalled as Zegler refused to appear vulnerable or give her critics any satisfaction. With ticket sales faltering and funding in jeopardy, producers faced an impossible choice: stand by their star and risk further backlash, or cut ties and face accusations of yielding to online mobs. Rumors of a backup production version being rehearsed behind closed doors only underscored the precarious situation. What began as a hopeful, theatrical revival had turned into a cultural and political firestorm, with the future of Evita hanging by a thread. The government weighed whether continuing to support the production was wise, given the explosive optics and the taxpayer money involved. Behind the scenes, tension mounted as cast and crew braced for whatever came next. For Rachel Zegler, once seen as a rising Hollywood star poised to conquer the West End, the stakes couldn't be higher. Her silence, her struggles, and the relentless spotlight have transformed us from a single moment into a saga about fame, identity, and the brutal realities of public scrutiny in the age of viral outrage. Whether Evita makes it to opening night, whether Rachel keeps her role, or whether this marks the start of a steep fall from grace only, time will tell. But one thing is certain: this scandal has already rewritten her story, and the final act is far from over. If you want to stay updated on this unfolding drama, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications, because the next chapter might just be the most shocking yet.